So, Joy, have you ever been to a Turkish prison? Do you like gladiator movies? By the way, is there anyone listening who knows how to fly a plane? Well, looks like I picked the wrong day to give up Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond. That and sniffing glue. Not that there's a difference.
It's time to take an inside look at those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond, and today on Thrive Loud, we have the co-founder and CEO of YieldStreet, which is an investment platform that is changing how wealth is created by connecting investors to asset-based alternative investments. He's had an entrepreneurial career, and prior to this, he co-founded Yodle, which was sold in an exit, and I'm excited to have him here today because you guys are going to love what you hear about YieldStreet. Thrive Loud listeners, Milind Mehere. Milind, how are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you on here. I want our listeners to kind of understand how this concept came to be. So what I want to do is I want to do like a little bit of a rewind from when you made your exit and how this idea about YieldStreet kind of came to be in existence.
So Lou, that's really a great way to start, because I think genesis of every business, especially if it starts with founder pain point, is always exciting. So the idea for YieldStreet came to me many, many years before I started the company. So we all remember global financial crisis, right? Stock market was down, and I was looking at my portfolio. It was down 50%. This was 2008, 2009, right? And throughout my life, I came here as an immigrant student, worked hard, was getting professionally successful, and I was told 60-40 stocks and bonds is the way to go. But when I'm seeing my portfolio down 50%, Citibank, which is a bellwether stock for 100 years, is at 39 cents. Like, you question yourself, right? I had done everything right. Why am I left holding the bag? So I called my financial advisor. I said, hey, man, why is my stocks like this? And he said, like, listen, the world is in turmoil. It's all imploding. What can I say? Then I said, hey, can I get access to things away from stock market? Because it looks like I'm over-indexed on the stock market. Like, can I get access to income generating alternative products like real estate and like, this PE funds and stuff like that? Being in New York, my wife was a venture capitalist at the time. I had good access to people. And I said, can I invest in like Blackstone, Apollo, these type of, funds? He started laughing. He said, Milind, let me tell you something. I said, what is it? He said, I know I am your kind of financial advisor, wealth manager, but you don't really have wealth to invest in those type of funds because the minimums are high six figures and you lock your money for 10 years. So you cannot invest. And that, Lou, really stuck in my head. I said, like, how is it that, I'm a pretty successful guy and I cannot get access to that? And so fast forward 5-6 years as we kind of exited my company, and I was like, really, this idea stuck in my mind. And during that time, a lot of changes happened to regulation and a lot of online investing, especially like robo-advisors and many other companies kind of came into being. So I was very fortunate. I met my co-founder, Michael Weiss, who came from the investing world, who came from the alternative world. So if you look at kind of our backgrounds, I really knew how to build a brand, acquire consumers, and I myself was feeling the pain point. And he kind of complimented me on like, hey, the investment background, the credit background, the compliance, legal background. And so it was like a perfect harmony for us. And we decided to start YieldStreet. So that's really kind of how the idea came to be. And, here we are, 6 years later, we have, 300,000 consumers on the platform that have collectively invested over $2 billion through the platform. And I think that's something that is really exciting for us.
Let's try and give the layman listener some understanding as to the types of alternative investments that YieldStreet is providing access to those that are investing in them further? Give some other examples today that they could relate to as to saying, okay, what are the types of assets that are included in these portfolios?
Yeah. So listen, let's keep it very simple, right? So real estate that everybody understands, because we either own a house or rent a house. But mostly if you think about institutional real estate investors, they don't want to do one or two houses, right? They want to do either portfolio of, various houses or big commercial properties. So at YieldStreet, what you will find is variety of different real estate investments. So you could invest in a multifamily rental apartment complex. You could, invest in warehouses and distribution centers. We all know e-commerce is really thriving. You can invest in strip malls, hotels, things like that. And so what the big thing here is that if you were to invest on your own with your friends and family, you would have to, again, write very high minimums, right? With YieldStreet, because what we do is we fractionalize those investments. So it could be a $20 million investment, but you can get in for as low as $5,000, $10,000, or even $1,000. So like that's one example. The other example we do a lot is lending against art. So if you are either a collector or an art gallery or an auction house, you always have art, but it's illiquid, right? You can't really get anything for it. So what we have come up is a way to lend against it. So if you have, let's say, an art portfolio of blue chip artists of $25 million, we would lend you 50% of that value. And we have really sophisticated databases that track auction history, artist liquidity, things like that. And we come up with kind of a scoring model to be able to do that. You can invest in a pool of auto loans. As we know, we all drive cars, right? And a lot of them are either leased or bought on installments. So can you aggregate a pool of 2,000 auto loans and you basically get a chance to invest? Because usually, again, those type of investments only institutional guys do. And so those are like flavors of investments that you would see on YieldStreet. And we deliver them in a very easy to understand platform when you log in online and kind of experience the platform for yourself.
You're taking me back, Milind, to about 25, 28 years ago when I used to work at Credit Suisse, and I used to help with unique assets from like whole loan mortgage portfolios to literally we created securities off of unclaimed fitness club memberships back in the day, like stuff like that. So I'm totally diving into this, and this is great that you're providing access to the regular person now. So, but you're a responsible financial organization. So helping me understand when you're looking at people that want to get involved with YieldStreet, do they have any certain requirements, or what are you looking at as potential investors that can be involved with YieldStreet?
Yeah, very good question. Listen, there are two types of investments available on YieldStreet. One is for everybody. So you don't have to have any status as an investor. You could come and invest. And we have a couple of funds that help you do that. And when you go to the website, you will clearly see them. The other are for accredited investors. So you need to have certain income requirements, and based on that, you will be able to get access to a variety of different investment options. So really, those are the two types of investments. Generally, investments, either you can invest directly into an investment, or we have a variety of different kind of funds that you could use to get diversified access. It also really depends on who you are as a consumer. Right. Some of our investors are highly prolific and very engaged on the platform. So they read everything that we actually put out there and are very involved. Some of our investors want to be passive. And so, for example, we have a bunch of funds that give you diversified access to many underlying investments. And so if you want to be somebody that wants to just put money once, set it, kind of forget it, and let it generate income for you, then you have those options as well. Now, Lou, one thing I want to point out for your audience is that we don't have any kind of salespeople. So generally, it's a self-serve platform. So you have to really come and engage with the platform and have to be that motivated person to say, hey, I want to take control of my financial life and like generate and complement my regular income. Because I don't know if your audience knows, but the top 1% or the very high net worth individuals or family offices have 7 ways to generate income outside of their primary source. For us mere mortals, we have to wake up every day in the morning and go to work, And so how do you kind of complement your life with, low lift, kind of passive income is something that we like really preach. And so I think we are very proud that we want to educate our investors and like really get them to engage and really motivate them to learn about the investments and invest.
Milind, I love asking questions to guests on this show who've had a history of successful wins in the past. And I want to try to understand a little bit about what motivates you. You gave a great explanation that this idea was in the making way before you actually had started it because of some of the frustrations that you as an individual investor didn't have access to. Talk to me now, because believe it or not, you probably do have access to a lot of the things now that you didn't before, but you still have a drive for wanting to create something new. Can you talk about maybe the excitement that you have in bringing this dream to life, but also running it as a business? Because you're not sitting back and kicking back and saying, hey, I don't want to do anything. I want to keep moving forward. Share with the listeners, I guess, what's behind that drive and passion about making YieldStreet successful.
I think, Lou, all of us have some, kind of innate desire in them, right? And for me, it has always been trying to solve big problems and using kind of my background and knowledge to really solve them. So if you look at my career, it's fairly atypical because I don't have one industry segment that I have spent my last 20 years, right? I have kind of moved from ad tech to fintech, and earlier in my career, I was in kind of enterprise software. And what really gives me the motivation and passion is to learn new things. But one of the things that I feel that I'm fairly disciplined about is taking that vision, taking that passion, and actually converting it into reality. So one of my favorite kind of quotes is from Thomas Edison: vision without execution is hallucination. So, there are lots of founders that have great visions, but they are either changing course or like pivoting too often, wanting to go after the shiny object. But for us, it's always about be steady, be passionate, but then give time for the problems to like really work themselves. So I don't know if your listeners who are actually watching us may be able to see it, but I keep this in my book always. This is before we wrote first line of code. And of course, you're not going to be able to see it, but it was basically a roadmap of what YieldStreet should become. And even today, if you look at it, we have executed on most of those things, right, that we had actually planned 5 years ago. Of course, you have to change course from time to time. But that is something that is very passionate for me, is to actually like really be driven by, hey, what's really the goal? How can you use your knowledge? And the most important thing is, how do you kind of motivate a team? Because ultimately, one or two people don't make great companies. Ultimately, it's the team, right? And so how do you kind of drive that intersection points of motivating a team to get on the mission and be able to really kind of deliver on what you think is going to make the society a little bit better?
Listeners need to know the diagram that Milind showed was a PowerPoint on steroids, showing some really cool visuals of how he wants the message and the purpose of the company to get to what it wants to. And here's the good question, because this is one of the great challenges. Great leaders have the ability to see a vision and achieve it. It's now equally important to also try to maintain the original culture and concept that a company like yours could have. You could technically be a victim of your own success, right? If you get to the point that YieldStreet, in investing all these different alternatives and providing access to certain investors, you could become one of those bigger, larger investors onto yourself. How do you keep that entrepreneurial spirit injected into the everyday of YieldStreet?
I think, Lou, it's all about the team, as I mentioned. Who do you hire, right? So your first 15 hires are the most critical. And then your next, 50 hires are the most critical, because that culture percolates down. Because at some point in time, you will not have as much of an influence on who joins the team. And so I think that the core aspect of the first kind of 50 odd people is so important. The second is you have to make sure that you give people ability to like really thrive and really develop their own culture. The culture for me is very fluid. It's a very fluid term, because at different points in the evolution of the company, culture really shapes itself. It's like a river flowing down. Sometimes what happens is that there is a lot of rain and the river flows down really well and fast. On other sides, you are like having deep turns, and so the water slows down, right? And so whenever those things happen, how do you as a leader take a 360-degree view and intervene when you think that things are slowing down, or the culture is not moving in the right direction? But ultimately, I don't really have a playbook for culture. The culture aspect of it is very fluid. But I think one of the things you have to make sure is that you give platform to the team to experience that culture and have them develop that culture. So at YieldStreet, I mean, to be honest with you, I've had a fortune of working at many good companies and founding them also. At YieldStreet, what I have really found, and especially in a big city like New York, the camaraderie across teams is just phenomenal. And that just happened because, we were very close as a team and really thrived in like collaborating with each other. And, you will literally find our legal team hanging out with our investment team or our investor relations team, which, legal team generally is, obviously I don't want to generalize, but, they're always—
You can. They're lawyers.
Down,
It's okay.
Correct. Exactly. But that aspect of things I found to be very, very interesting at YieldStreet. And that again is the combination of how do you empower the team and really be data driven. And obviously all of us have company values, we do too. And so how do you kind of ingrain that into really your day-to-day lives, and then let it just flow like a river. Yep. And then you course correct as you go.
Milind, I love asking guests on the program this question. I want to see where this goes. You've been thriving in your career. You've been taking YieldStreet to new levels, and it's probably going to continue to move onward and upward. But we all have those days when we're not quite kicking on all cylinders. Milind, when you have trouble thriving, what practice do you seek, or what individual do you seek out to get yourself back on the thriving track?
So listen, I'm very fortunate to have a good set of advisors. Ron Suber, that we both know, is one such example. So he really is a guy who I go from time to time, especially when things are not going so well, and you really have to get some counsel. So I have a set of advisors. I think outside of those advisors, I also have another thing, right, that I learned from my dad. Is he always said the best is yet to come, right? And it's a different way of saying there is light always at the end of the tunnel. So now the question really is that, do you see that light, and how do you kind of make your way towards that light? And all of us have different techniques to doing that, right? So for example, I do some of these things from time to time in, depending upon what my mood is. So you could go to like meditation and kind of calming your mind down, to actually, running and exercising, to like really getting that adrenaline. But at the end of the day, like really having that perspective, because as an entrepreneur, and this, Lou, right? From outside looking in, you always see this line straight going up. We know internally that's never like that, right? There is a lots of downs, and then there are some ups. So during those lots of downs, how do you kind of, think about like, hey, okay, this too shall pass, and like best is yet to come, and like, anchor around that and see like, hey, what is incrementally you do? So again, I do a lot of stuff around prioritizing my time, and like, what do I do? Manage lead. I have some of these boxes that I use. So I rely back on that and saying, okay, great. There are some things that are outside of my control. So I want to like really focus on stuff that's in my control, get a few wins, and then move forward. So what I would really advise is find out what your kind of comfort zone is. And then like really think about, okay, if there's light at the end of the tunnel, what are some things in your control? How can you execute on them, feel better, get some quick wins? And then a lot of things just work out by themselves.
I like it.
And so you have to trust in yourself and your team around you, and just like broadly kind of the karma to take care of itself, right? And things just obviously always, work out at the end.
Milind, let's do the admin part of the show here. Share with the listeners all the places people can learn about you, about YieldStreet. We'll put it all in the show notes, but it always gets more engagement when they hear it directly from you.
Of course. So YieldStreet.com, and you can find me on LinkedIn, Milind Mehere, or at Twitter at Milind Mehere. And I'm always available. Please reach out to me, and I would love to engage with you guys.
Excellent. Milind, you ready to go down Fun Street? Because I know you've been having fun. You've been smiling the whole time we've been here. You ready to take it on?
I'm always for fun, man. From YieldStreet to Fun Street.
There you go.
What could be better?
Well played. So can you share with the listeners maybe a all-time or one of your favorite movies to rewatch over and over again that might inspire you?
Listen, I'm going to sound geeky and cliche, but Star Wars.
Okay, I like it. Which one of the Star Wars? I know there's like 9 movies, but is the original? Are you like anyone in between? The whole series?
No, absolutely the originals, 4, 5, 6. You know,
right. We're the only generation in the world that actually knows that 4, 5, 6 was the first 3, right? You know.
Exactly.
I
think it was just to be honest with you, again going back to the whole vision concept, right? And again, not to sound like too serious or anything, but those are the types of things that propel mankind in the future, right? If you think about Elon Musk, like who would think that you could put somebody in space or start an electric car revolution that's going to change humanity for next 100 years? But those are the types of films that propel you to something else. And I don't know if you're a student of psychology, but Jim Campbell and Hero's Journey has a lot of those underlying connotation, and George Lucas kind of really took some of those things and like baked it so much into that futuristic concept. And for science fiction lovers, like that's really the best of both worlds. And as entrepreneurs, when you're like always trying to do the next thing, these type of movies really resonate. So
very true.
There you go.
I love it. All right, so we're going to do the speed round here, and the way this works is I'm going to ask you something, and I want the first thing that comes to your mind. These are things that lift you up. Don't worry, you'll be able to handle it. I've got confidence in you. They lift you up. They make you feel good. They motivate you. They make you thrive. Okay, you ready?
Okay, awesome.
Of late,
let's do it.
Of late, a song that pumps you up or that you've been loving to listen to.
Oh my God. I don't know. Listen, there are so many good songs. I don't know, one doesn't come to mind, but Weekend, actually, songs by Weekend are really fun.
Ever since the Super Bowl, I've been enjoying him. I like what picks it up. A favorite food that's not a dessert?
Absolutely, sushi.
A favorite dessert?
Warm chocolate cake with vanilla ice cream.
Everyone's very particular with their desserts. They generalize the main food, but the dessert.
I'm actually not much of a dessert guy, so that's why I have to be super specific, right? Food, I had to think because I love so many different things, but
An activity you wish you did more of?
Oh, absolutely, exercising and running.
An activity you wish you did less of?
Procrastination. We all procrastinate.
Milind, if I could snap my fingers and you could be anywhere in the world, where are you?
Whoa, that's Africa for sure.
And
on a safari.
On a safari, I was going to say, it's a pretty big continent. On a safari, I love it. Have you been? Have you ever done one?
Yeah. Yes.
Enjoyable, right?
Yes, it's nothing like it. Yeah. It's that core connection to kind of where all of us kind of came from. I don't know. I can't describe it. So absolutely. And I've been fortunate to visit many different fascinating parts of the world. But I think that whole being so one with nature is something magical about that.
The thing that you are most excited about as it relates to the near-term future of YieldStreet?
Oh, now you're getting serious. Listen, we want to change how people view their financial life, their relationship with money. Money should be working as hard as you are for the money. And so for us, it's all about self-driving money. How can we really create that earning and spending platform connected together? So for me, the next 10 years are going to be the golden age of fintech. And YieldStreet is going to be there to hopefully help millions of consumers do better with their finances and their money.
Love it. Milind Mehere, thanks so much for coming on Thrive Loud today. We'll put all the links for YieldStreet. Continued success to you, and thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
Be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.